Hello and welcome to Conversations with Ruth. I am Ruth. I am also known as Notorious RVG. During the time I worked with ACLU, I encountered legal aid attorneys and was always impressed with their dedication and good work. I realized that I do not know much about legal aid of North Carolina. I have wondered what legal aid really is. How is legal aid able to serve all those that are eligible for its services? That legal aid not only provides services in specific areas, but to target populations, such as veterans, seniors, Native Americans, and victims of trafficking. Equally important is what are the services legal aid provides? Well, to answer those questions, I ask that you join me in a series of interviews about getting to know legal aid of North Carolina. I promise you that I and you together, we will learn what legal aid is and what services it provides. Hi there. Welcome to Conversations with Ruth. I am Ruth, and some of my friends and some that are not so friendly call me RVG. Our interview today is part of our series Getting to Know Legal Aid. We're going to be talking today about immigration relief for victims. And these are victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, and other crimes. Legal aid designs a set of resources to help these victims because it is intended to stabilize their life and more than anything to avoid future victimization. I want to know, and this has caught my curiosity for some time, what help legal aid provides to these victims. So today, our guest is Hilda Moss, and Hilda is an attorney with the U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigrants. Hilda, I am very happy to have you here. And equally important, you have been a legal aid volunteer attorney for some years now. And I'm sure you have had several experiences with victims who seek assistance of legal aid. So let's first start with some basics. I'm going to assume we all know who are the victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, but who are victims of trafficking?
Thank you so much for having me today. Victims of trafficking are people that have been forced, either by fraud or coercion, to performing labor or sex acts here in the United States.
So when one of those victims, whether trafficking or domestic violence, contacts legal aid, what help can they expect?
They can expect an array of help. First, getting them in touch with service providers in their area if they're not local. They can also receive help with doing immigration applications if they don't have legal status here in the United States. They also help with getting their situation more permanent or more stabilized if they're just coming out of a trafficking or domestic violence situation.
When you say help with the immigration status, is that a process to get them what we call visas?
Yes.
What kind of visas?
So there's several visas that are available to victims of trafficking as well as sexual assault and domestic violence and other kinds of crimes here that occur in the United States. The T visa is for victims of trafficking, and the U visa is for victims of other qualifying crimes that occur here in the United States.
The majority of these victims that seek assistance, and I keep calling them victims, that would be the right way
Absolutely.
to describe them. Are they employed? Do they need also assistance to get employment permits?
They do. Generally, if they have no status here in the United States, they are not eligible to work without employment authorization. So legal aid does help in filing those applications when they're eligible to apply for them.
And for the victims of trafficking, does legal aid help to perhaps sue the traffickers?
They do. They offer help to commence civil action against the traffickers if it's actionable. They help the family, so not just the trafficking victim, but also the family is eligible to receive immigration status based on the trafficking that occurred on that one individual. So they help with the qualifying family members as well.
So I imagine that would be a great deterrence for future traffickers if those lawsuits are successful.
I hope so.
Do you know of any one of those lawsuits will produce damages for the victims?
Not personally, but I know legal aid works very hard to get that relief for those people that desperately need it.
Now, all these processes, in my mind, of what I know about immigration, takes time. How long would it take for someone, in an average, to get a T visa or a U visa?
So unfortunately, there's a huge discrepancy between the T and the U visa wait times. T visa is generally taking about 6 to 8 months for approval, in comparison to the U visa, which is taking about 3 to 4 years. That's because the number of applicants you have for a U visa is exponentially higher than the applicants you have for a T visa. And the Department of State only releases 10,000 U visas a year to applicants, whereas the T visas, there's only 5,000 allowed per year, but the lesser amount of applicants for a T visa allow people to receive them faster than the U visa.
So in the meantime, when this person who has no employment and sometimes separated from children, have lost their families, and have to wait 3 to 4 years, how do they endure that process?
It's a very good question. Some of them are very resilient. Fortunately, during that wait time, they don't receive any status here in the United States. They could be subject to deportation proceedings if they are picked up for any reason. But hopefully they just keep their spirits high and can wait the time out like others.
Does legal aid offers any support or has any activities that will offer support to these families?
They do. Legal aid is extremely collaborative with other organizations in the area, other service providers, mental health providers, social workers, people that can help victims stabilize themselves and become survivors of the crime and kind of take back their life. Legal aid also does community education, to where they will educate survivors and families of survivors about the resources that are available to them, either in the Triangle area or in the person's area if they're not local.
And actually, the organization that you work for is one of those that Legal Aid collaborates with, right?
That's correct. That's correct. We've been lucky enough. I've been with the U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigrants now for 2.5 years. I've been practicing immigration law for almost 5 years. I've had the pleasure of being a volunteer attorney with Legal Aid, working on a number of cases, but most dear to my heart is out of the Battered Immigrant Project, where I help U visa applicants obtain some sort of semblance in their life and some sort of light at the end of the tunnel to help them in their cases, pro bono, completely pro bono.
And that combination of the legal help, the traditional legal help for a client, plus the support, may allow these people to reach some conclusion and success.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Having kind of a network, having a backdrop of people that can help this person regain normalcy in their lives and kind of take back what was taken from them is imperative to their survival and the survival of their family members, their children especially. When we make people stronger, it helps the family become a stronger unit for survival.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the time we have, Il. And I appreciate so much you being here. It has been quite enlightening. An area that has caught my eye and curiosity for some time. And for those that have joined us, I thank you for being with us. And I invite you to come and attend the future episodes we're going to have about conversations with Ruth.